Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast, episode number 108. A talk with Merrill Sport, president of the Hunt Channel, part 1. Big Buck Registry is a virtual museum of hunting stories. We preserve a piece of Americana by interviewing and recording hunters about their hunts and experiences from across the country. And who knows, maybe we'll learn a thing or two along the way that'll help us take our hunt to the next level.
Hi, this is Carl Drake, pro staffer with Realtree Outdoors.
And this is Adam Vinatieri with the Indianapolis Colts.
And you're listening to our favorite deer hunting podcast,
the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast.
This is Gordon Whittington, Editor-in-Chief at North American Whitetail Magazine, and you're about to listen to another great episode of the Big Buck Registry Deer Hunting Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Zach Doyle with the Rack Packer Outdoors, and you're listening to my favorite podcast of all time, the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast.
Welcome to the show. This is Jay Scott, your host of the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast. Thanks for joining us. I know it's early. Just rolled out of bed. It's like 4:15 in the morning.
Oh, man, what a morning. People wake up. It is the Big Buck Registry Deer Hunting Podcast. We got up early this morning, 4:15 a.m. We are on the mics this Saturday, the 25th.
I love getting up before the sun rises. It's just one of those things I enjoy in life.
I'm about a pot deep in coffee, and I'm ready to rock and roll, Jay.
All caffeined up, ready to go.
Absolutely.
Rock and roll.
Big, huge day ahead of me.
You do have a big day. Where are you going today?
I'll be in Columbus, Ohio at Cabela's. I'm going to team up with Mike and Red from the Up North Journal. I'm doing a special guest appearance and going to do a little co-hosting on the Up North Journal podcast today.
That's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. You know, it's one of the things where I'm always honored that people ask us to come on as guest host and hang out with them. And it's going to be a pretty cool experience to be at Cabela's there in Columbus and meeting up with a lot of people. And if you got time and you're close by and you want to meet up with me there at Columbus Cabela's here at I'll be there around noon, and assumingly I'll be there till about 4:30 p.m. today.
That's awesome, man. That's it's going to be a long day for you. It's going to be like 12 hours by the time you get out of there. You've been up for forever. That's very cool. So, I just got back from the Northeast Big Buck Club annual banquet down in Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Yeah, hanging out with Michael Montgomery.
Yeah. We're hanging out with his big, gnarly-looking rack buck that he shot. That's just a monster. It's just huge. But I got to hang out with Mike for a while, and we had a lot of fun. I got to meet some of his buddies from the military, and specifically hung out with Mike and his girlfriend Jessica, John Morrissey and his girlfriend Angela, Keith Hunt and his wife Michelle, and Chris Haskins. And it was, you can tell these guys have been together for a while because they were beating up on Mike pretty bad for anything. And
that's what happens when you shoot a big buck like Mike's, you know?
It is, you know, it's, what are you going to do? Mike's got all
you just got to deal with that. That's part of it.
I know. So it was an interesting event because it was an award ceremony for all the bucks that were recognized through submission to the Northeast Big Buck Club. And I met Jeff Brown, one of the founders. Very, very nice guy. They put on a great show. The food was fantastic, I have to say, which is not always the case at these banquets when you have to feed 400 people. But it was actually really good. We got an introduction to every single person with a spotlight. They toned the room down to a dark with a spotlight on each person they were giving an award to. And they basically just went around the room, explained a little bit about how the buck was captured or shot, and kind of the backstory behind each buck. So it was kind of interesting. And they had auctions going on, and I didn't win a thing. Mike won a bunch of stuff, and actually I tried to steal his rangefinder, but he caught me. So what am I going to do about that?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, and shout out to Michael Montgomery, and sorry that I couldn't make it up there this year. And man, something that I don't like to miss, but that's just the way the cards played.
Yep. It happens that way. But I went down and represented for the Big Buck podcast, Dusty, and hopefully I didn't embarrass us too much.
Awesome.
But had a great time with hanging out with Mike and his crew.
Very cool. Jay, we just ended the season with the Big Buck Registry Deer Hunting Podcast T-ball team.
Really? How'd we do?
Oh, man, we was winners all the way through.
That's awesome. I love that we had T-shirts and you actually, baseball. I love baseball. I mean, it's one of my favorite things of all time. And to have a sponsorship, and thanks to you, Dusty, for putting that together and having the Big Buck podcast on the T-shirts of some young ladies and men that were giving it their all, so to speak.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool experience, and very fortunate that I was able to coach them and put together a sponsorship with you and myself. And man, it was just a great experience all around, and be able to put your name on a great group of young individuals like that. That's our future. And we want everybody to know that we support the young hunters that are up and comers, and kids will carry that with them for a lifetime, that they were sponsored by a hunting group.
Absolutely. I love it. And, it's just another way to get the message out about hunting, that it goes much further than just shooting a deer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's one of them things where, I think that some of the parents didn't understand quite what hunting was all about. And I was able to educate parents about what we do and how we educate our listeners and how much information that we bring in for everybody. And we share that. It's one big family, and thanks again to all the listeners that tune in with us every week.
Yes, I can't thank you enough. In fact, I'd like to put a special shout out to Michael Standard, who did donate to the Big Buck podcast this past week. So thank you to Michael. And if you'd like to donate yourself, there are two places you can do it. You can pledge or donate. Donate is bigbuckregistry.com/donate. And the pledge is bigbuckregistry.com/pledge. So you must be all pumped up on your caffeine by now. I know I'm starting to feel it. And
absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about television. Now, in the TV world of the outdoors, you have the Outdoor Channel, you have the Sportsman's Channel, you have the Pursuit Channel, and you have the Hunt Channel. And the Hunt Channel is the newcomer on the block. And I wanted to dig in more about how the TV industry works for the outdoors, because it's kind of unique. And when I say it's unique, is that I always heard that you had to pay to be on TV, and that it was hard to get into, and that you better have some money behind you. And I've learned by speaking to the president of the Hunt Channel, who was one of the former owners of the Pursuit Channel, that that's not necessarily the case. And that's one of the things that he's developed over at the Hunt Channel, and talk a lot about the future of the Hunt Channel and how they are looking every day for new talent to go on to their network. And they're really focused on digital, like Roku and Apple and that kind of thing, because they think that's part of the future of television as we know it today. And I have to agree. So I thought we should get Merrill on the line and go deep into how it all works, the ins and outs, everything you ever wanted to know about starting your own TV hunting show is what we cover with Merrill. And you're gonna get a real heavy dose of what it's really like in this show.
Absolutely. And speaking of TV, Jay, let's not forget to remind the people that, you may hear our voice on the Sportsman's Channel.
Yes, because we did some voiceover work for the Rack Packer, courtesy of Keith and Zach Doyle, and they asked us to do a little voiceover. So if you do hear that commercial air on the Sportsman's Channel, would you mind shooting us an email? And jay@bigbuckregistry.com. Just let me know that you saw that television spot. So without further ado, let's get Merrill Sport on the line.
Let's do it, Jay.
Merrill Sport, welcome to the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast. How's it going?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thanks. Appreciate it. So where do you call home, Merrill?
Luverne, Alabama.
Alabama. Now, what's going on in Alabama right now? Anything exciting?
It is hot.
Hot.
It is hot in Alabama right now, and humid.
Hot Bama. Gotcha. And what do you do to kind of kill off the the heat? Do you care about it if you're living in, or doesn't it matter?
Well, you kind of get used to it, but it doesn't mean you like it, but you get used to it.
Yeah. Is it an air conditioning type environment, or do you just kind of deal with it?
Oh yes, sir. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Everybody, it's a crisis if your air conditioner goes out. But then there's a lot of people that work outside in the heat, and they adapt to it.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm from living in the northern part of the country, so it's cooler here most of the time, and I don't really have to experience it that much.
It's really the humidity that gets us so bad down here, because it can be, if it's 90 or 100 down here, that's a lot hotter than 120 or 110 out in Phoenix and Vegas and all, because we travel, out there pretty regular for the trade shows and all.
Gotcha.
I'd rather be out there at 110 than here at 90.
Good point. No, there's the humidity is just brutal. When you're just dripping from
it's just sticky.
It's just yuck.
I mean, you just start sweating for no reason.
Right. So, Merrill, you're part of the TV industry, and
yes, sir.
I asked you to join us because you are part of a TV network that is it's unique, and it's more successful than some of the other situations or other networks that we've noticed. And it's an interesting story. So I was wondering if you could kind of tell us how you got into the TV industry in the first place.
Well, I've been in the industry, the outdoor industry, for over 32 years.
Okay.
And so what happened is at the time I had a stint with an early rep group. When I started in the early 80s, a couple of rep groups, and then I had some in-laws, Hicks Incorporated down here in Luzerne, which are a wholesale distributor of outdoor products, guns and ammo, and all kind of fall and spring goods, fishing tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So then I came inside, basically in the family business, and stayed inside as a buyer with all these outdoor products for 10 or 12 years as a vice president and sales manager, and put them in the first dealer trade show back in '92. So I stayed with them for about 10 or 11 years, and I got the itch to get back on the road. Well, during that process, basically about in 1992, my former partner at the Pursuit Channel, Rusty Falk, come to me, and we decided that we would produce a TV show. He had the production abilities and did all the personality stuff, and I did the financing and the sponsorships and raised all the money. So in addition to have been in the rep business and then been in the wholesale buying end of it, I was also his executive producer, and would get sponsorships and sell them sponsorships and take free goods and run it through Hicks Incorporated. We had a pretty good little system going, but it just got to be where it was too expensive to have. We back on Fox Sports South back in the old days. And
right.
Gosh, it was still $47,000, a quarter back then, and that's back in the early 90s. And it just got, and then we run on the Outdoor Channel. We were one of the earlier shows that would even buy ads from Wade Sherman back in the old days from the Outdoor Channel. But sooner or later, that got to be a place where little kids didn't play, and thus we went into a meeting with Mike Cooley through his group on the Sportsman Channel, but we passed on an opportunity. Rusty and I did. We passed on that opportunity.
Okay.
Because we thought the business model was the same in the Outdoor Channel, and it was at the time, and we didn't think that if you're going to protest something, we didn't think it made a lot of sense to protest it and then copy them. But they've had some good fortune along the way, and now they're strong, and they're owned by the same people. So anyway, but that's where it come from. We just said, hey, enough of us just couldn't afford that, and through the trade shows and all the industry connections and all, we said, man, we need our own network. And that's when we got started, and that's when the Pursuit Channel was formed in July of 2007 and launched in May of 2008, and it's one of the largest out there available now.
Gotcha.
It's the lowest price to the three, and it's in over 40 million homes. So I sold out of that in December of 2012, and then I launched January 2013. I launched the Hunt Channel, which is a smaller version. It's got we do outdoor television blocks with our partner, Angel 2 Network, which have channel 266 on Dish, and we have some primetime blocks and what we call breakfast blocks, and that allows us to buy and sell airtime to producers and take care of new people wanting to get in the industry. We're the cheapest part of their business model.
Okay.
producer's got a business model, and they got three expenses there pretty much, and it's their travels and the airtime, and then their editing. That's their three expenses. Our airtime is cheaper than their traveling costs and their editing. So we basically got we have a prime time, we have prime time blocks, but we have interlevel blocks for the AM people. And prime time is used for the some of the up and coming shows. They're getting some good experience and good exposure. They can afford a $6.95 a week rate, and it's also used as an additional thing. A lot of people on other platforms and other networks, they want to pick up another 30 million eyeballs, and over half of it being internet-based through the Roku boxes and Amazon Fire TVs to attract the younger audience. Then they, for another $700 a week, they can add another 30 million homes to the resume of their portfolios.
Sure. Okay.
So we got ourselves in a position to be either or to people.
Okay. Merrill, can we break that down a little bit more? Tell me more about the business model of Outdoor Channel and Sportsman's Channel. How do they look at things? How do they drive revenue?
Okay. What they do is the outdoor industry as a whole is not very large. And that's why you see the Outdoor Channel trying to change their business model and do more production, more reality live shows, more independent, more tight reality shows, and just keeping the hardcore, the big guys. I mean, you see it downsizing outdoor, but increasing so they can tap into more non-endemic. But the two business models basically with Outdoor Sportsman is the cable companies or the subscribers of these cable companies, they have to charge them. They don't pay for play. So there's only two ways you can do it. You can provide your content free to the cable subscription or to the people, or you can buy it by Pursuit and Hunt Channel. We buy airtime and resell it. Now that gives us a good opportunity to grow. That's why Pursuit is at over 40 million homes, because they're paying for airtime. On Sportsman and Outdoor, the people pay them. So they pay them for their content, just like they would any other syndicated pros. So they're in a unique situation, but they have the veteran shows, ones that's been around long, that's got more established identity in the business.
Okay,
so it's hard for entry-level shows to afford those $6,000 or $7,000 a week rates. So Pursuit's in the $3,000 or $4,000 a week, and we're $695.
All right. So if you broke it down, if you wanted to have a TV show, an outdoor TV show, if you wanted to be on the Sportsman's Channel or the Outdoor Channel, you have to pay them per week, or generally speaking, there's a contract that you have to write up.
Correct.
And it's to the tune
of them for that airtime.
Pay them for the airtime, and it's about $6,000 per week, roughly, and
per week. Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you get to pick which day you're going to be on, what time you're going to be on, or do they dictate that to you?
You get to negotiate. You get to negotiate for that. The closer you get to the 9 o'clock prime time, the higher the rates are. If you're later, 11 o'clock is not as expensive as 9 o'clock, and 6 o'clock is not as expensive as 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So everything's relevant on the night of the week and the time of the night. And prime time is still good, better, and best.
Okay.
When you're dealing from 7 to 11, Monday through Sunday.
So what is prime time? What does that mean?
Pretty much prime time, I call prime time recliner time.
Right.
It's pretty much when everybody is in at night time and they're into the eating. They've had their supper or their dinner. We call it supper down here in the country, but
sure.
Proper terminology, dinner is your last big meal of the day, the one you need to be working out after you eat. But
gotcha.
once you leave the table and you go get in that recliner, it's prime time then.
That's prime time. All right. So it's right
prime time is recliner time.
Right after supper.
So it's pretty much 7 to 11.
7 to 11. All right. So, and is that every day of the week, or is that just certain days of the week?
That's every day of the week, but they're better days than others. Okay.
What's the best day, prime time, generally speaking?
I like Thursday nights.
Okay.
But I think Wednesday night could be good because in my position, if you're selling, you need to pay attention to what your competition is doing. And for example, Tuesday nights is tough to sell against because that's always been a big night on the Outdoor Channel.
Okay.
With their premium shows. So a lot of times what's the best for you is not necessarily the best for somebody else, because when those 800-pound gorilla's been there for so long and they got a toehold on certain shows on certain nights, and other people know it's going to come on, and you can leave your DVR change there to record that for 2 years in a row, you better have a better package for that night than offer. Of course, DVRs, thank goodness, they help us all, in a way. And it helps everybody, the producer, the shows, and the programming, because now you got 2 or 3 options out there, and you can only watch one, but you can record the others. But, that comes into a lot of play on the first run. A lot of the big shows depending on what network they own, they're aware who the shows are that they compete against. And, some like to go head-to-head and some will pick a different night. So That's all in the eyes of the beholder of who's buying the airtime. So that's why everybody negotiates their own thing.
All right, and these are...
Try to stay pretty close to the regular time they've been in so they can get people, trained to come to them.
And this is all based off a statistical analysis that the TV channel themselves can monitor based off
That's
of.
Right.
And how do they?
The larger shows also can afford the Nielsen ratings and the different types of ratings, and that's one reason for their high prices, because those are not expensive. Those things can run you $10,000-$15,000 a month for those ratings.
Okay.
That price has got to be priced on to somebody. Well, $15,000 half my airtime cost for a month.
Right.
So that's just not my clientele right now.
How do they know how do they know what people are watching?
I guess it's by the Nielsen ratings that go by where the networks are monitored. How many people are on that channel. Mostly that's why we push a lot of we like being one of the smaller networks and up and coming and offering a different niche for everybody. That's why we put Amazon and Roku, and we do our online stuff that we can track from our website and all, because all of those entities, those digital entities like that, through the internet, our website, we can get numbers for that. We know what's clicking on it. These people know that.
Right.
And you can get that kind of viewing data. Like we know we're getting 50 or 60,000 views a week from our website and our Roku, because we can get that data. But we know people are watching Roku. Now, just today, we launched our Amazon Fire TV, and we'll be watching that tomorrow. Be talking with them tomorrow to try to get an estimated number of boxes that they have in the industry.
Okay.
Apple TV's number one. It's around 20 million. The last reported Roku numbers, which they report over 10 million boxes, but we know it's greater than that because that number was from October 2014, and they hadn't published a new one yet. So I'm sure that we'll probably get a new number from Roku at the end of September.
Gotcha.
Fiscal year. We'll probably get a new number.
Okay. Let's go back to the Pursuit channel for a little bit. It was you and Rusty that
yes,
started
Rusty
this.
Falk.
Rusty Falk. And
yeah, we had Rusty Falk Outdoors, and yes. Rusty and I started the Pursuit channel.
Gotcha. And what was it like back then? I mean, how did two guys that are kind of floating around the outdoor industry decide that this is a good idea? I mean, Rusty was in TV before you came aboard, correct?
He was doing a little local show with Red Holland, and was barely making ends because it just didn't pay much, and he's having to run around and sell stuff at the little gas station, the little weekly rates and stuff. And he come to me when I was working at Hicks. We were friends from way back. Mm-hmm. He said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about this." And make a long story short, we got together and I got Mr. Wise, and I called a friend of mine at Norman Lure, Bobby Dennis, and Mr. Wise talked to Lawson Richards and some folks out at Zepco. And then we called our friend Wes Campbell up in True Turn Hooks and Daiichi. And then the next thing we know, we had Robin Shower, Bass Assassin, and we had him about 4 sponsors that each one of them quadruple, each one of them matched his annual revenue. So we got started right there one afternoon at Hicks Incorporated, and we took a lot of product from those vendors, and Mr. Wise helped out, and that's how we got started.
All right, so you create this channel.
Yes, sir.
What was the plan at that point to put it on regular cable TV and dish TV?
Well, yeah, exactly. It was just on the regular TV. We had Rusty and I had secured and talked to these this group of people that had been involved in this other network. And at the time, we didn't have the credit nor the money to put up for a direct TV channel. You had to put up about $300,000 to get a channel deposit. So we ended up leasing parts of a channel from a group in Phoenix. So we subleased a channel to start off with. And that's what we did. We ended up buying airtime, and then we went out and saw our friends. We've been in the business a long time. So we hit the floor running. I had myself and Mark Corcoran at the time, who was a former employee at the Outdoor Channel, and Rock Mann, who was very instrumental in helping us with self-producers or TV shows, and we hit the floor running out there. And, you know, I'm proud to say that some of the shows that helped launch Pursuit Channel, like Pat and Nicole Reeves with Driven and Jeff Danker with Major League Bow Hunter.
Sure.
And, you know, some of those major shows today that are very successful. I mean, these guys back then rallied behind our efforts to establish something that we were in hopes would get these rates in check, you know, get them in line by offering an auction. And that's really was a whole success to get our story out there and get enough people signed up. And we had a group, those guys spearheaded a group of about 20 producers, and then we had a group of about 20 producers. And we started out, and next thing we know, our second year, we had a little over 100 producers running with us at half price of Outdoor Channel and Sportsman Channel rates.
Gotcha.
And that was the only thing we had is that, hey, we were trying to give you more eyeballs for less money, so you had an opportunity to make a dollar, stay in business, because airtime rates had gotten so high. You know,
gotcha.
Average Joe, and there's only so many of those big guys that's going to write these $100,000 checks for sponsorships. There's just so many of those. But really, we were very fortunate in that a good group of talented producers like Pat and Nicole, you know, that now are some of the industry's icons. You know, you go to the trade show now, you see them posted all over Nikon stuff. And
sure.
They're speaking, and all of them guys, if it hadn't been for them, would never been a Pursuit Channel. And then we got moved momentum with them, and then that's when Topsy Hayes with Moss Yoke stepped up to the plate and brought all the Moss Yoke shows with us.
Gotcha.
And they're still hamming, it's under Moose Media, they're still hamming all the advertising for the network. You know, you're dealing with a camouflage company that's got hundreds of licensees, okay? Well, they just had a built-in customer base right there that needed advertising, you know, on TV. So, you know, you got to give kudos to Topsy Hayes and Cuz and all those guys and Dennis Presley, because, man, they saw an opportunity that was really, that there was no numbers to validate it or do anything. They saw an opportunity to be a part of a vision, and they took it and ran with it. And they're still running Pursuit to this day. They don't own any of Pursuit, but they're the lifeline to Pursuit, because their agency sells all the programming, handles all the grids on who airs when, how much they pay, and then on top of that, they fill in the hose and they sell all the advertising too.
Okay.
To the industry. So that's really how it got started. Is a group of pretty good VIP people that are the industry leaders today just said, hey, enough is enough. We got to try to band together anyway for a couple of years to see if we can do something, because we just all can't keep paying these rates and stay in this business.
Gotcha. So
good old supply and demand is really what it is. Good old supply and demand.
I was just going to say that. So this was very much based on an economical need that the industry.
It was 100% based on economical need. Rusty and I couldn't stay in the business. Now, I still had a good job, but, you know, I've been with Rusty. I've watched his little boy, Austin, who now works with him at the Pursuit Channel, but Austin couldn't hardly stand up between my legs when Rusty and I took this thing over. And it's provided a good living for him and his household now from where he was in the beginning back in 92. So, but it's 100% economics. And I think what we did, not only for ourselves, but for a lot of other people, we changed the way of life and give them opportunities. And that's really what I'm trying to do with the Hunt Channel, even at a more entry level, because Pursuit, now with the Outdoor Channel, beginning their downsize and moving more into mainstream, they're moving some shows over to Sportsman Channel, and either we're going to get some shows next year in 2016 from the Sportsman Channel, or they may move to the Pursuit Channel, and then some of the shows from Pursuit they can't keep up with the rates now. In other words, it's just moving from outdoor to sportsman and pursuit. Outdoor is going to keep the ones they want that they're involved in, they're in the production in. You know, they keep in the mainstream and even have 2 or 3 shows like a Jim Shockey and a Ted Nugent, Lee and Tiffany. I don't know, excuse me, I'm not sure it's Lee and Tiffany. I know Jim Shockey and Ted Nugent. Maybe I'll remember the third one they told me. But, Waddell.
Okay.
They have they have a personality type contract with the Outdoor Channel. That's the only place you'll see those guys is on the Outdoor Channel.
Gotcha. All right.
So you won't even see them in a photography and nobody else would do.
So you got the Outdoor Channel kind of picking who they want. You've got the Sportsman's Channel.
It's owned by the Outdoor Channel.
Okay.
They're going to realign the Sportsman's Channel to be the new Outdoor Channel.
Okay. And then
there's a kingpin in the industry, and then you're going to have us in Pursuit that's going to catch the fallout. And
gotcha. And you've
Pursuit actually has more eyeballs than Sportsman and Outdoor. They're in over 40 million homes, but their rates are going up a little bit. So we'll get some from Pursuit, but and we'll get some from Sportsman. We're going to get the bottom rate payers, but in the long run, it'll be good for them too to come to us because the money they're spending on the lower tiers with those 2 networks are going to put them in prime time for us. You know, they'll be able to buy prime time in a couple of hours a week and still be at 50 cents on the dollar. And, you know, as soon as we get a satellite uplink where we can go out and start putting our program on about our goal is to try to be in about another 10 million cable homes for the fall of 2016. That's going to put us in the 40 million market too.
Okay.
And so that's our growth plan. But we still know where we rank on the totem pole. We're the entry level boys.
Okay.
We're the entry level and are the economy channel, but also by having those rates established like that. But that also allows these other people to do. If we can grow into those numbers, then it'll also allow some of the shows and programs that are running on Pursuit or Sportsman could also come in just about 1 hour a week on us and increase their portfolio by over 30 million. So we can also be an add-on channel too.
Okay.
You know, which we like to do that. We like to take some of those big name shows and try to get them on there 1 hour a week in prime time because it helps us with viewers as well. And we have a lot of viewers, for example, like Sportsman, but they don't have the Sportsman channel. They don't have and can't air their programming on a lot of the online distribution markets like the Roku and the Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or anything like that, you know. Because, like I said, there's only 2 business models. You either get paid for your content or you pay for your content, you know.
Right.
You can't have the best of both worlds. You can't. And that has restricted the sheer numbers and growth with Sportsman and Outdoor because, again, it's economics. And a lot of smaller cable companies say, man, I just can't pay 6 and 12 cents a sub for that channel when I can get Pursuit and Hunt free, you know.
Right.
Or they'll offer it a la carte in a higher package where if the viewer wants that, they pay the cable company more money for it. They run it a la carte, you see, because you have to pay those 2 Outdoor Sportsmen. You have to pay them for their content to watch their programming. The cable companies do, and then they pass that on to the consumer, the customer.
Say that again, Merrill. So the Sportsman channel. So there's some people or some producers, some shows, or all of them have to pay to be on Sportsman and Outdoors. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Everybody from Hunt to Outdoor on the producer side, the TV shows, is a pay for play.
Okay.
I mean, all of us are selling airtime. We're buying and selling airtime.
Okay.
It's all based on bandwidth off the satellites that the federal government controls.
Okay. Now,
you know,
is there anybody that gets paid to be there?
Well, the Sportsman, yes, like Sarah Palin, there are different models out there for the established people, like Waddell and Shockey, Jim Shockey and Nugent and all. That's what I'm saying. Those are kind of network-owned shows. If they own those personalities and they own the production and all that stuff, and they pay those personalities for those to produce those shows, and they pay a salary plus. You know, I mean, it's hard to say what all they get. Nobody flaunts their salary, so, you know, it's only speculation. But, yes, they are some of them like that.
Okay.
But that's very rare. Now, I'm telling you, there's not 10% of them that get paid to be on TV.
Okay. That's the exception to the rule is what you're saying.
That's it. That means you have arrived, and not many arrive in the play world.
Okay. So that's 8-10% of the the people, but they all had to come from somewhere, right?
That's right.
They have to build their reputation. They have to build their viewership. There's a method to getting it out there. Now, not everybody's going to do that.
But you know what I always say is, it's the same theory as everything else is. It's what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and that's what we tell everybody that's wanting to get into business with us. And they say, well, I got my own channel on YouTube. Well, so does 10,000 other people.
Right.
Okay? Who's going to find you under your name and what you'll put it, except somebody just doesn't have anything to do one night, might run across it. And that's why we're trying to build a digital platform so that people can share social media with each other. And, as you always heard, whether it's protection or safety or, there's always safety in numbers, And so that's why you try to package people together so that maybe somebody watching somebody else's show, if you can pull 100 of them shows out of 10,000 and package them in a network under the name Hunt Channel, you're going to have a much, much more likely product to see in your show on the big screen. And that's the beauty of the internet platforms and all now with all the smart TVs. You have the appearance that you're on TV, because those are running through internet boxes and internet devices or your online TVs, and you can get over there and you can watch it on your TV. And that's where 28 to 30, I have a daughter 29 and one's going to be 25. And I can tell you right now, if you ask them, if they was in a Jeopardy show and you ask them, what is a TV guide, they would look at you like, what are you talking about, TV guide?
Right.
It doesn't matter them what time the show comes on. My oldest daughter is a weightlifter and a CrossFit guru. We gave her a Roku for Christmas, so she might go for a month and not do anything. Then one night she'll sit down and watch a Blacklist on ABC Video on Demand. She'll sit there and watch 4 episodes.
Right.
But she's got her Blacklist fist, and they'll all do it together.
Gotcha.
But let me tell you something. That Millennium Group, they beat their own drums, buddy. TV doesn't mean anything to them. And
right.
So that's where, we're sitting here with about 15 million of our subscribers is through internet and online, and another 15 million with Dish. So we're trying to walk that balance, and you can do that because our content's provided free, like the Pursuit Channel is provided free. That's how it goes from 0 to 40, because if you can make money, you can always buy more airtime and sell it. And see, that's the old chicken and the egg. If you got the money to buy more airtime, people, the producers, are paying for airtime because their avenues of revenue is their sponsorship dollars that they get for those sponsors. And those sponsors are weighing, well, can I do this show on this network or that show on that network? How many people seeing this show at this time and this, and how many? So the networks are in competition through the producers on who can give the best return on the investment, whoever got the best ROI. So that's kind of what drives me is I try to be the best value, not necessarily the biggest network. I try to leave the ego out of it. The ego will break you. If you have an ego, it'll get you sooner or later.
All right. What do you mean
That's
by that?
the last thing I do. I try to leave the ego out of it. I just want a sound business plan, and, I want to give people the best bang for the buck.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem being the new kid on the block. Never has bothered me, a challenge. You just have to keep delivering your message. We're not from everybody. You don't get in this business and think you're going to put somebody out of business. Not when you start out with $500,000.
Gotcha.
The Outdoor Channel done sold twice, one time for $220 million and one time for $190 million. So I promise you, the Hunt Channel is not in the business to put the Outdoor Channel out of business. That's not a good game plan.
Okay.
Or business model.
So, Merrill,
I was just providing an opportunity for people to get into business.
So, Merrill, if you've got a new channel that you have,
yes,
and you're providing a value to producers, do you? And I guess it goes across the board. If you're collecting money and the producers are paying you to be on your channel, do you care about the talent that you put on there, or does that factor in at all?
No, that doesn't factor into me because everybody has to start from somewhere.
Okay.
Now, again, that is a big issue with the other networks. A lot of them even have templates that you have to follow, which costs you more money to find quality editors to follow those templates. In other words, they may tell you, we want 2 minutes of action here or 4 minutes of action here. We want the first commercial break at 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Well, when you have all those demands on you, you've got to have a seasoned editor that knows how you're trying to work audio, you're trying to work music, you're trying to work video, you're trying to make it stop and flow. A lot of times, how many times on these programs have you seen, and you're thinking to yourself, if you don't understand this industry, why did they quit then? They were just about to take the shot. It was just getting good.
Right.
And they took a commercial break. Well, then when they come back on the air, guess what you see? Same thing again.
Right.
They have to go back and rerun that 30 seconds to bring you right back into the drum roll. See, those are templates, and those are hardships, but it requires more experienced editors. It requires better editing, more production, more cameras, more angles, and that's not my market. So we're easy to do business with. I use so to keep the editing costs down, we use our commercial breaks, our 3 2-minute commercial breaks. We let our producers use them to their advantage. In other words, they get stuck editing or something, or get, something runs out and the music goes and everything looks like, oh man, that's a good place. It just hit a wall. Well, guess what? We'll rescue you with that 2-minute break. You see, and then you can come back up and your footage can be completely be relocated, another set somewhere else. So little things like that we do by not telling them they got to do it this way or that way. We know what our role is. We know we're the entry level, and it takes time. And that editing is very expensive. The production end, the quality of the production, a lot of people like that, but I think the quality of the footage to our market, if you've got a good shot, a good kill shot, if you've got, a good footage of some unique action and all, I think a lot of our audience likes the footage and don't critique the editing quite as bad.
Okay.
But now, that's just my opinion. Footage is king because the larger shows go to places all over the world, and people just sit there at all at some of the footage they get. I would tell them that I would watch that footage, whether it was high class or a little blurry or whatever it is. I would watch it because I enjoy seeing that fella takes that bull elk up on the ram, takes it around. I'll be on a safari. I'm watching the footage. I love the footage, what I like.
Right. Okay.
So there's ways that you can do things to help people because we just put less demands on them because we know who our customer is. We know who our producer is. And a lot of them are just learning how to, they're just learning how to put music up and down, drama music and easygoing music. They're learning how to try to make the flute play with the film, So
right.
To tell them when to cut it off and when to cut it back on, a lot of our people aren't there yet. But again, that's why a lot of these people, those type shows, charge more for sponsorship because they're on the bigger networks, and their expenses are higher as well.
Okay.
Because it takes somebody that knows what he's doing with that editing system to stop and start, on demand.
Right. So on the Hunt Channel, do you give your producers a format to follow?
They have a format. We tell them pretty much you have an opening, and then you have you just do your little opening. We give them a little spreadsheet opening that says, hey, do your little opening, do your intro to what your show's going to be about. Then you got a 2-minute commercial break, and that's where you put your 4 sponsors, and then you come back and do some more show footage, and then you put another 2-minute break when you get. They know they got 3 2-minute breaks, that covers 8. That's 4 minutes is theirs, and then 4 minutes, that's 8 30-second spots. So they can sell 8 sponsors.
Gotcha. Okay.
The money to cover their 3 expenses. Well, then the last 2 minutes is just a black hole. So when they turn that into us, they have to tell us on the timeline, okay, at 26:15, at 26:15 on this 2680, there's a 2-minute black hole, and then we do closing, you see, or they may fast at 25. And see, that's the thing that we allow them to do. We don't tell them when to do that. They just got to have 3 2-minute black holes, and they fill up 2 of them, and the other one's black. So the network puts in commercial inventory. That's how people buy commercials from us.
Okay.
You see. So we have 2 minutes in each of our shows.
Okay. So
that's our other avenue of revenue is commercial sales as well as producer or show sales.
Oh, okay. So you're selling some spots yourself as the channel.
That's right.
You're selling spots to your producers to get their.
We sell the producers 30-minute spots or actually 28, 30, and then we sell advertising at 30-second slots.
Gotcha.
Because we like to have a nighttime block, with the opening and closing 15 seconds a night, like on Thursday nights. Ours is on Thursday nights. We have Double K Jerky, where tonight's program is brought to you by Double K Jerky. And they don't get a 30-second commercial in that 2 minutes we got. So we give that away with the people that are sponsoring night blocks. So we have certain things like that we give away, or we might be doing a giveaway or something. So we keep 2 minutes in each show.
Okay.
For night blocks and for sponsorships and for giveaways and whatever we need to do.
Okay. Let's say I'm a brand new producer, but I'm inspired to be on a television show or on a TV network, and I want to find a place. You're saying that you're the best value out there right
Absolutely.
now.
You've got so much to learn, and you can even start with us. We even have a digital platform now that will give you video on demand in prime time. We store your stuff in the library under your logo on the website, so you and your buddies can sit down one night and go to our website and watch 6 of your shows. We store it for you, or we loop it for you about 4 times on Amazon and Roku. So we have over 15+ million homes through internet and online on a digital platform that we call our digital network. We launched it this year. It's new for 2015.
Okay.
And we do it for $75 a week.
Oh, wow.
That lets everybody get on the big screen. That's what I'm telling you. That's the difference. Now you can be a part of 75 or 80 shows on a digital platform that has a national blueprint, name, and advertisement to it that will help you have a place to solicit. As you get more and more on TV and get polished up and do better, the next thing you can do, you can step up to 325 and add another 15 million dish homes and be an AM spot, be in our AM stuff,
Okay.
And by AM spot, and then you go from AM to PM.
Okay.
And eventually, once you get polished up, and if you've got good footage and you're doing a good job, then you're going to start landing bigger and better sponsors. So there's nothing common. We've already had some shows that started with us that moved up to the Pursuit Channel because they're the only other one out there that's got the same business model.
All right. So let me.
Outdoor Channel and Sportsman really need a channel that has a different business model. And then they would be dangerous. If they had another network that could grow without restrictions limited to people paying them for their content, without economics that they could grow in, then they would be tough, But right now, Pursuit and Hunt is the only one that can grow households because we can just go out there and buy them. The Outdoor Channel, Sportsman Channel, the revenue they have, if they was in a position with a network, hell, they could go out and buy 40 million homes in 6 months, and it could be tough.
Right. So let me summarize this a little bit. You've got a situation where you've got a completely digital platform that you could take pretty much any comer and give them an opportunity for some brand new editor, doesn't know really what they're doing, has some camera experience, can kind of tell a story sort of, but you can give them a spot. And they've got to bring, most likely, they can either pay out of their own pocket at $75 a week, because that's...
Well, that's exactly what you better be prepared to do in this business, because, again, like I said, it's what comes first, chicken or the egg. But that's only $975 a quarter.
Right.
So there's not a lot of people on a credit card wouldn't try that to get out there to chase a dream.
Right. Right.
You see, that's worth $1,000 to separate yourself from 75 shows with a national branded network as opposed to 10,000 YouTube channels out there.
Right. That's a start. That's a start for somebody.
That's the starting place. Nobody can touch that.
Right.
That's the starting place.
So, and then if you develop, and I would assume at some point you'd want to bring some sponsors in to help you pay for that.
Sure.
And then
that's right.
And then when do you decide to move them up to the ranks of the other spot that you have on the Dish Network? When do you decide that it's time?
We don't.
You don't.
We don't. That's their decision. They can stay on the digital. They may hit a home run and get a big sponsor and say, hey, I want to stay on Hunt Channel Digital, but I want to buy Pursuit Channels, 40 million too. Now I'm in 55 million. I've got the best network, the Little Guy Network, that's doing all the digital stuff, that's really chasing that market hard for me. I've got that and the video on demand and the library online, the video on demand, and I got 40 million Pursuit, so I had $75 to the Pursuit Channel.
Gotcha. All right, so
you can't beat it.
So you could do the Hunt Channel digital, and does the Hunt Channel have a contract with national TV providers like the Dish Network or DirecTV?
We do have one with Dish, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's through Angel too.
So you could say, as a producer, all right, I'm ready to step up to the Dish Network through the Pursuit Channel. I could say that, or through the Hunt Channel, I could say, all right, we've been doing pretty good on digital. I just landed a big sponsor. Merrill, I want to go up another level. I want to go on the big time broadcast. And you would say
they could go to 275. It'd be a Tuesday morning. They can go for 275 or 300 between 7 and 9 a.m. in a weekday morning slot.
Okay. And then do you decide, are you the decision maker at that point to say we want to move you to the PM because you're doing so well, or is that just another bump up in money?
Well, if they've got a good show, we might recommend them and ask them how they do it, because like I said, we're producers. I mean, everybody that started with me with the Pursuit Channel that's working with me now, I had hired them at the Pursuit Channel when I was Chief Operating Officer.
Okay.
And so my group came with me, and Rusty and his family stayed with him at the Pursuit Channel. But we basically have the two business models. Except my market again is entry level, and digital is what we're chasing.
Okay.
And then, like I said, you can run on other networks and run with me if it's not a conflict with the other networks. Now, sometimes Sportsman Channel and Outdoor would have exclusivity runs where they would restrict the people buying airtime from them to run on another channel without hearing us at the same time. In other words, they want first runs. But that's okay with us because our viewers, and especially our online and our digital viewers with the internet bosses, have never seen that programming footage. So they can run the network on the Sports and the Outdoor Channel, and then the second year when they're putting another show up with them, let's just say what they're running this year on Outdoor Sportsman, they can run with us in the fall of 2016 because our viewers have not seen that footage.
Gotcha.
It's still good stuff.
All right. Well, that concludes our Part 1 episode with Merrill Sport. Let's take a break, go grab a coffee, and come back, and we'll see you in Part 2.